Let's go ahead and solve homework exercise number 20 from section 2.5. We've got a survey of 122 college students. 42 listen to rock, 45 classical, 48 to jazz, 24 rock and jazz, 23 rock and classical, 26 classical and jazz, and finally 15 students listen to all three. Construct a Venn diagram and determine the cardinality for each region. Use a completed Venn diagram to answer the following questions. Okay, so we've got to do a Venn diagram, so let's go ahead and we've got three sets, right? We've got rock. Let's make this a little bit neater. Whoa, whoa, whoa. All right, let's just close the ink layer and start over. Okay, we've got rock. We've got rock is going to overlap with, we can put classical here. And then we're going to have overlap this way, so we got to draw our Venn diagram. And so we have overlap of all three. So do it this way, and then this would be jazz. So go ahead and put your Venn diagram so you got overlap of each of the two and all three, and then separately for each one. So two across and then kind of one in the bottom middle, and that will work. Now, the key is you must work with the innermost region first. 15 listen to all three. So 15 must go in our region, what we usually normally call region 5, right? 15 listen to all three. It's got to be in rock, class, and jazz. The only region in all three sets is there, right there, and it's 15. Now, again, the way you interpret this, 26 listen to classical and jazz. 26 classical and jazz. That includes the 15. 26 is the overlap of classical and jazz, which would be 15 in this region here right next to it. So 26 minus 15 leaves us with 11. So 11 would go right there. Classical and jazz, 26. So now when you add 15 and 11, you get to 26. Same reasoning, different numbers, different sets. 23, rock and classical. Rock and classical are what? 15, and then we've got right here, right? The total is 23. 23 includes the 15, so 15 minus 23 is 8. So 8 would go here, rock and classical, to give us, so when we add the total with the 15 and the 8, we get to 23. Same reasoning, 24, listen to rock and jazz. 24 rock and jazz, so again, rock and jazz, 24, this 15 and this right here would add up to 24. So then the 24 minus 15 leaves us with 9. So again, 9 would be for rock and jazz, right? So that when we take the 9 and 15, we get a total of 24. Okay? So work with the innermost region and then the intersection of the two. Now you can finally go to the number in the numbers that are listening to each set. So 48 listen to jazz. However, now be careful. The jazz already accounts. The 48 for jazz doesn't mean jazz only, means jazz and any of the other three. So in jazz you see 9, 15, and 11, right? 9, 15, and 11 in jazz. Okay, so when we add these together, we get 35, okay? 35 already accounted for, a total of 48 in jazz, so 48 minus 35 leaves us with 13. So right here must be 13, so when we add 13, 11, 15, and 9, everybody in jazz, we get the total of 48. Okay, same reasoning now for classical. Okay, classical is what? 45, right? We've already have in classical the 8, 15, and 11. So when we add these together, we get 34. We've got 45, a total in classical. So 45 minus 34 is 11. So what remains just in classical would be the 11. So when we take 11 plus 11 is 22, plus 15 is 37, plus 8 is 45, we get the 45 in classical. Okay, 42 are listen to rock. So again, for the rock, so far we have what? In rock we have the 8, the 15, and the 9, right? In rock, 8, 15, and 9. Add these together, and we get 32. Okay, what was it? 42, listen to rock, so 42 minus 32 is 10. So that means there are 10 more here. So when we have the 10 here and add the 8, 18, and 15 is 33, and 9 is 42, we get the total of 42 in rock. Okay, now finally, we have, what do we have accounted for? We have 7 different numbers, right? We have 10, 8, 11, 9, 15, 11, and 13, right? So adding all these numbers up, we have 9 and 9 is 18, and 5 is 23, 24, 27, carry the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 77, okay? So we have a total of 77. Now the survey is 122. So 122 minus 77 leaves us with a total of 45 that didn't say anything about rock, classic, or jazz. So then finally the 45 would be the ones that said neither, listen to neither rock nor classical nor jazz, none of the 3. 45 left, because these numbers add up to 77. The total is 122. Take your total, subtract, and we get left is 45. Okay, so now we got to make sure we remember these numbers. I'm going to copy them down. 10 in only rock, 8 in rock and classical, 11 only in classical, 9 in rock and classical, rock and jazz, 15 in all 3. Classical and jazz but not rock is 11, only is jazz is 13, and the 45 are in none of the 3, okay? So then you have that filled out. Now we're going to go ahead. So rock only would be the ones out, not in classical, not in jazz, right? So rock only was those 10 outside of the other sets, but in rock. Okay, how many listen to classical and jazz? Okay, remember now, classical and jazz. This was classical. This was jazz. We had 15 here. We had 11 here. Listen to classical and jazz, but not rock. So we got classical and jazz is 26, but not rock. We got rid of the 15, so we're only left with those 11. Okay? Because we're going to get rid of the 15 because it's not rock. Okay? So then that would just be those 11. How many listen to classical or jazz but not rock? Classical or jazz, if you remember the diagram, classic, this was jazz, this was classical. We had 8, 11, 15, 11, 9, and 13. So now what? Classical, listen to classical, classical or jazz. So classical or jazz would be all of these different numbers, 8, 11, 11, 15, 9, and 13. But what? Not rock. So we got to get rid of anything in rock, which is the 8, 15, and 9, right? So we're left with the 11, 11, and the 13. So 11, 11, and 13 gives us a total of 35. Okay? How many listen to exactly one of the musical styles Exactly 1 would be those numbers that are in 1 but not the other 3. So remember, rock, classical, and jazz. This was a 10, this was 11, and this was 13. These are the ones that are in exactly 1, right? This is only rock, this is only in classical, this is only in 13. These others here are either in both or all 3, and these are neither. So it'd be the 10, the 11, and the 13, regions 1, 3, and usually region 7. Add them up, 24 and 10 is a total of 34, exactly 1, okay? And how many listen to exactly, in exactly 2 of the musical styles? Again, exactly 2 would be where they overlap, right? But not all 3. So rock, classical, and jazz. We had 8 listen to rock and classical, and then we had a 9 listen to rock and jazz, and 11 here. But we're not going to count that because it's exactly 2. Those are all 3, right? So not that one. These are rock and classical, rock and jazz, classical and jazz. So 9 and 11 is 20 plus 8 is a total of 28. So those regions right there will give us exactly 2. And how many did not listen to any? Remember, that's when we added all the numbers inside, and we got a total of 77 from regions 1 through 7. And then there was a total of 122. So 77 minus 122 left us with 45 that must not have picked any of those 3. So 45 do not listen to any or none of those music styles. All right, very good. This concludes the homework exercises for section 2.5. This is your math teacher, Dr. Swears. I hope you found these videos helpful. If you still need more help on this problem or any of the problems, send me an email using the inbox through the Canvas course at the FGCU portal. Again, thank you for listening to this video, and I hope you found it helpful.